My name's John Bulcock. I've been in the Student Activities Office here at MSU for almost 17 years now. I started in the fall of 2008 and have been here since then. I came from Iowa State University, where I had done my master's degree in higher education administration. And I've been in the role working with fraternities and sororities here at MSU and student government and off-campus housing since 2008. I tell people I get to work with the most talented and motivated students that MSU has to offer, and very privileged to get to work with the folks that I do.
And obviously you are a huge baseball fan, sports fan in general, as you can see in John's little museum gallery here. But we're here to talk a little bit about baseball today. How you have had, I guess we'd call it a bucket list.
Yeah, exactly.
Of touring or visiting every major League Baseball stadium in the country.
My love for baseball goes back to 1986. The Royals won the World Series in 1985. I'm from Kansas City originally, so I'm deep down a Kansas City Royals fan. But my uncle started me on collecting baseball cards in 1986. And so that's when I started, my love for baseball started, was with my uncle buying me 1986 baseball cards and getting me started on that. My love for the game has extended since then. I've been an umpire and all of that. But when it comes to this traveling, I had been to stadiums in Chicago, in Texas. I tried to go whenever I was visiting a city if I could. And then I was looking at the list of ones that I had not been to. And I'm like, how can I make this happen? And I started looking at them in clusters. And so between 2015, 16, 17, and 18, I knocked off every other major league ballpark. I took 4 major trips. The longest of them being about 3.5 weeks. That was a road trip along the West Coast. And that's when I got serious about hitting all the ballparks. Some people think that a fan like me knows the ins and outs of baseball and all the stats and all that kind of stuff. For me, it's not necessarily the stats, it's the nostalgia. Okay, I love the history of the game. I love how the history of baseball has mirrored the history of the United States. I like the lore, the legends. You hear the stories about Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron and all of this, and being where they played and actually being able to see a game in every major league ballpark. That was a goal. I was like, how can I do it? And so I did it. Mm-hmm. So,
do you have a favorite? Is there a favorite? Everybody's going to ask. Which one's your one to go to?
Absolutely. And I think about this often. I have 3 answers, or 3 categories of answers. Okay. Everybody asks what my favorite ballpark is. I think in the history category, you can't beat Fenway Park and Wrigley Field. Fenway Park in Boston and Wrigley Field in Chicago. Those are the 2 oldest stadiums left, and they're the only ones from the bygone eras. When you think about the places where the greats played, Babe Ruth played in Fenway Park. Okay, Babe Ruth. And the other greats, they played in Fenway, they played in Wrigley. Yankee Stadium, the old one, is gone, but Fenway and Wrigley are the 2 stalwarts of major league ballparks that are left. And so you get just a chill when you walk into those places, and you're like, you think about who's played there. On my trips, I also ran into ballparks where I think the features and amenities were really cool. Whether it was the location or the fact that you could find fan-friendly concession prices and stuff like that. I think my 2 favorite parks from that standpoint are in Pittsburgh and in San Francisco. Those are great ballparks. When you're in San Francisco, again, the location for that ballpark and the one in Pittsburgh were both great. But then also there's deep down, when I talk about nostalgia and having memories and being emotionally attached to a place, Kansas City is going to be the one. So, but you've got the history, you've got the features and amenities and the location, and then you've got the one that where's home.
Yeah, that's where the heart is.
Yep.
Have you been to any stadiums that are no longer there?
So the only ballparks that I've been to that are no longer there, the Texas Rangers moved into a new ballpark a couple of years ago, around 2020. So their old ballpark is the one that I've been to. I've not been to the new Texas Rangers Stadium. So I guess when it comes to I've been to a home game in every major league city. I need to go back to Texas and hit that new stadium up. The Athletics are in the process of moving around from the Bay Area in California, and so that's another one that will soon be gone. Oakland Coliseum will be no more at some point. And so other than that, most of the other ballparks are still functional in terms of the ones that I've been to. I guess Atlanta is another one. I have been to both the old and the new Atlanta stadiums that are in existence as well.
It doesn't come as any surprise that you're a very outgoing person and that couch surfing was a big part of this for you.
Yeah.
Was that all part of the experience for you and getting to know people, getting to get autographs? How was the whole thing kind of packaged for you?
Sure. The whole trip is an experience. It's not just the ballpark piece. And so as somebody who likes to meet new people and then also try to find ways to make connections along the way, I did use Couchsurfing, which is a program that helps connect travelers with other travelers who are willing to help out. And so in some of these places where I would visit, I would literally crash on the couch of somebody who was local who I'd never met before. And so when I say I make friends along the way, half the time that's it. Those are my new friends that I've made along the way. People who are willing to invite me into their home to crash. And oftentimes they were people who went to the games with me in their home cities. And so again, I've made connections all over the country and all over the world because of Couchsurfing, but they were a vital part of that baseball trip experience. And some of them I still call friends and in communication with today.
Is there one memory, one moment, one ballpark that you would like to relive the memories?
Oh, that's a great question. I think in terms of the game itself, there are some things that stand out in terms of, oh my gosh, I was there. So when you think about big name players of today's era and people who are going into the Hall of Fame or will get there someday, this summer, Adrian Beltre from the Texas Rangers is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And when I was at my last game in Texas, my last Rangers game, it was the one where he hit his 400th career home run. And so seeing somebody hit a milestone like that, or when I was last at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, I saw Clayton Kershaw pitch a 2-hit complete game shutout, which in baseball, you don't have pitchers that pitch a complete game anymore. But those are some of the things that stand out in terms of like baseball moments. I think other parts along the way, there are moments that stand out that just were part of the trip, like being able to visit the Louisville Slugger bat factory. Okay, Louisville Slugger they make most of the bats that baseball players use anymore, and so that's being able to visit places like that are kind of big memories as well. I think some of them also are the people that I was with. So my sister used to live in Chicago, so anytime we could catch a game, that would be a good memory and stuff like that. So, or along the way, if I happen to meet a player, I do collect baseball memorabilia. So having a moment with a player where I get an autograph or something like that, those are always good memories as well. Great. So my hometown team went for a 30-year stretch without having won a World Series, and so being able to be home for the parade for that was a big one too. I think. They played in both the 2014 and the 2015 World Series. They did not win the 2014 World Series, but I was there for 3 of those games as well. So I went back to Kansas City and was there for 3 of the World Series games in 2014. And while the result wasn't what we hoped for, 2015 was a good year, and I went back to the parade. I talked to my supervisor at the time and said, "Greg, I have to go back," and he's like, "Damn right you do." And so I took off on a moment's notice and went back for the parade, with about 1 million of my closest friends in Kansas City.
Talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame. I know that's one of the spots that has, again, been a very memorable moment for you.
I've been to the Hall of Fame 3 times in my life. I went in 1997 and then again in 2017 and 2018 as parts of both my most recent baseball trips. My first trip there was to umpire a youth tournament. I've umpired youth baseball since I was 12 years old, and one of the teams with my local organization was playing in a tournament, and they invited me to go as one of their as an umpire. And so that was great. And the time I happened to be there was during Hall of Fame induction weekend. So all the Hall of Famers were there, and there I was as a young teenager at the Hall of Fame induction, seeing all these greats come in. And so that was my first moment there. Most recently, you go back to Cooperstown and you realize that during the off season, during the non-summer months when there aren't baseball tournaments that are happening there, or when there aren't tons of visitors for induction, this place is a village of 1,200 people, okay, in remote New York between Albany and Syracuse. But yet it's the place where Abner Doubleday was and where baseball is said to have its American roots. So being there is just in a small place like that is cool in itself. But then when you think about the history, it's even cooler. Again, being in the halls of the Hall of Fame. The photo behind me here, as I mentioned, that's the Hall of Fame gallery. And on at least one of these trips, I've been able to be there and be the only person in the gallery. And when you're there in the place that immortalizes all of the greats of the game, it's just a very cool, humbling experience. But then also the artifacts in the Hall of Fame itself. You've got home run balls from the greats who hold records now. You've got, as a Kansas City Royals fan, George Brett had a controversial home run in 1984 with too much pine tar on his bat. That bat is there in the Hall of Fame. But it's just again, for somebody who gets nostalgic about the game, it's a very cool place to see the artifacts. Being there for induction weekend, which is what I have done for all three of my visits, you're there to celebrate with some of the people who've been the greatest in the game, and all of the alumni who returned for the induction ceremonies, being able to see them, being able to get them to sign baseballs for me. It's a thrilling experience.
What's your prized memorabilia?
Oh, gosh. I've got a few. I've got baseballs signed by the greats, Mickey Mantle, Hank Aaron, Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, Sandy Koufax. I've got a ball signed by Roger Maris. I think one of my coolest pieces, though, is a bat that I made in my 7th grade wood shop class, and wood burned to look like George Brett's bat. I did that, and then I got George Brett to sign it. So that's probably one of the gems of my collection. But my baseball collection consists of about 200 unique Hall of Famers. So it's been some time and energy, and I'm proud of it.
Do you still have the baseball cards that your uncle got you started on?
I do. I collected baseball cards for about 10 years, and then I transitioned to autographs for most of my collection. And I still have about 40,000 baseball cards.
Are you a fan of all sports, other sports?
I am. I don't know any sport like I know baseball, though. I don't know as much about the history. I don't know as much about the rules, all that kind of stuff, as I do baseball. I think baseball, in terms of the rules, there are some intricacies, but it's easy to pick up on, I think. And again, I've been around the game. I know the rules. I know the positions. I know a lot about the history. And I also have worked in the game. Like I said, I've been an umpire for many years, and still do that today for fun. So
you said you started at age 12?
I started at age 12 as an umpire. And so I've been an umpire for 3/4 of my life, almost. So it's been a good experience. Sure, take it all in. I think when you go to a ballpark, don't just go to the stadium and go to your seat and then leave. I think you've got to take in what the ballpark has to offer. Walk around, smell the smells, see the sights. At Target Field, one of our MSU alumni is the person who plays the organ. So go see Sue Nelson in the organist booth and wave to her and give her a horns up. And so I think any ballpark you go to, go early, stay late, go check out if they have a team museum, all of that kind of stuff, and see what there is. Also, many ballparks are in good, interesting neighborhoods. So if you get a chance to wander the neighborhood, Target Field's in downtown, check out the things around there. But my first thing to do in any ballpark is to walk around and see the whole thing.
Final question. Who has the best concessions?
Who has the best concessions? Great. I don't think I've had a better hot dog than I have at Wrigley Field. So Wrigley's got the best hot dogs in baseball. I know the Dodgers fans might like to argue, saying the Dodger dog is better, but at Wrigley, you've got the best ballpark hot dog.